because the main point of this whole stream is going to be in the fourth quarter with Stephen A. and the mistakes that he made and how I saw this thing coming from a mile away. And I'll pull up the evidence for my first live stream that I did as I started to do my weekend show, and I'll just kind of show some of the points of where I saw this thing kind of going bad for Stephen A. And then also, we have some other people in sports media who see exactly what LeBron's point is. And it seems like Stephen A is the only one who is missing what LeBron's actual point is. And even in the Pat McAfee interview, LeBron actually says Stephen A missed the actual point. So, it kind of just tells you there that, he kind of could be intentionally missing it, plausible deniability. He can be using that as an approach just to say, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. So first thing, if you look at the screen here, I have Stephen A. Smith, and this is just a funny thing because Stephen A. Smith is now continuously calling LeBron a liar. And he's called LeBron a liar on multiple occasions. You'll even hear it in some of the videos that we're going to break down today. But after the Pat McAfee interview, Stephen A. Smith went on to his own podcast and he called LeBron a liar. Then for the first 16 minutes of when they started First Take, which was supposed to be a debate show, he spent that opening monologue calling LeBron a liar again. And the funny thing is, if you look at the clips of what Stephen A was supposedly saying but not saying about LeBron not attending Kobe Bryant's memorial service, which was just lacks integrity in this situation to bring Kobe Bryant's name into this situation. He was fact checked very quickly, and that turned out that he was lying. He said he misrepresented what he said or what he meant. I didn't get that from the clip. From the clip, I got that he thought he was exposing something. And once he realized that it wasn't true, he had to backtrack. And then the other things that he attempted to expose, none of it made sense once you really just looked into the timelines of what was actually happening. So we're going to get to some of that too. That's the legend from the Six, Deborah Cox. That is Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. I've been thinking about that song all day. Just as I was working my second job and I'm just kind of putting my ideas together, just kind of going through my thought. And basically, that's the first song I came up with. Like, man, how do we get here? How do we get to a point where at the end of the story, Stephen A. Smith is crashing out on television after he signed, $100 million plus 5-year contract with ESPN? He's basically the face of ESPN. How do we get to the point where he's crashing out this fast? So we're going to rewind this thing back and we're going to go to, I got to give myself credit. We're going to go back to something I said on my first show. So let's get this up. We got it up on the screen. Let me just find the timestamp. So I think it's about the 109, 110. Here we go. So I'm not going to play this last whole hour of this, but this is going to give us the kind of the beginning of the story. And then we're going to, kind of go through the story from there. So let's get it playing.
He realizes how clean
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith.
He realizes how clean and clutter-free his browsing experience.
Now let's get to a subject that's.
All right, so I had a lot of. I'm even gonna play myself on chipmunk mode. So, the same way I always play all these videos, I always speed them up. I'm even gonna speed myself up so we can really get to it, so we can get through everything. Don't want this stream to go 5 hours because if we broke down everything, this stream would go 5 hours. But since we've already started covering this, and I actually thought the last time we covered this would be the last time, that was prior to the LeBron Pat McAfee interview. So let's get to it. Stuff going on. Let me make sure. Let's start. Okay, so everybody's been talking about this. Everybody's been giving their take. LeBron James, him, going up there and checking Stephen A. Smith. A lot of people feel like if it's warranted, if it's not warranted, and just their take on it. Me personally, I'm going to give you my take at the end, but I'm going to build up my story and my case for how I view the situation. So first off, we're going to take another instance where Stephen A. Smith is getting into it with the father about an NBA player's son and how Stephen A. Smith handled the situation. And actually, I'm going to play a little bit more of this than I initially was because I didn't realize how short it was. But we really want to just build up this case for how I'm viewing the situation between Steve. It's kind of funny hearing my own voice and being on the live and watching myself. That's kind of funny, but that didn't mean nothing. Let me keep going. Stephen A. Smith and LeBron. So I'm gonna start this over from the beginning. I apologize if we get another ad, but I'm gonna play this on chipmunk mode. Let's go 1.75. Hopefully it's not too fast. All right, but let's get it. In your career, what you can do over this stuff, if I'm being totally. All right, so I'm just going to explain it because Stephen A. Smith talks slow, but the other guys talk a little bit faster. He asked Stephen A., is there anything he regrets in his career or situations that he wish he could do over? Me and Big Dog Glenn Robinson, I wouldn't do that. And to certain respects, believe it or not, Kyrie, because I think that got misconstrued. To me, you're so spectacular in box office. I'm tired of seeing one thing after another leading to you missing games. That was my only point. There's always something. I want to leave Cleveland. I'll stay here in Boston. If you have me, and you leave, and you go to Brooklyn, and it's one thing after another. After you got the brothers to come to Brooklyn, when you should have went to the Garden. You've been worth $500 million more playing for the Knicks than for the Brooklyn Nets. And so that was my position. Is that a little bias there? Yeah. Totally. I mean, I'm praying on camera. I love South Beach. Let's I'm praying. Damn right. But the thing about it is that when that stuff happened with Kyrie, his father and I are fine. But it got to a point where it wasn't because, unbeknownst to the public, the father, loving his son, was coming to his defense by sending me text messages that, quite frankly, I didn't appreciate. And so because of that, it took on a life of its own. And all right, we're going to do a quick pause right here. So remember, this is another situation where Stephen A. Smith is, having a back and forth where the way he talked about an NBA player, the father is going back at Stephen A., giving him pushback. Stephen A. admitted there he did not like the way that the father was coming at him, but he understands it because the father is defending his son. So just watch how this plays out, because a lot of people who are talking about the LeBron, Stephen A. Smith situation, they are not looking at how Stephen A. Smith has handled situations previously. And credit to Kyrie. I mean, listen, it's really nobody's business, but I feel because the story took on a life of its own, I really owe it to people to let them know. I hope I'm not violating Kyrie's trust. I usually don't. I don't betray people's trust. That's a big thing for me. But I'll tell you, we were at the Staples Center. Kyrie rolled up on me. Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies. He rolls up. I think it was easy that number. He rolls up on me. He taps me on the back and he's like, "You still got that same energy face to face?" I said, "I'm saying it, ain't I?" And he was like, "So y'all hear that?" He said, "You still got that same energy face to face." His response was, "I'm standing here, ain't I?" So that's very important when we move along in the story. I still got that same energy. I'm standing here. Stephen A. Smith has said a lot of times, I'm outside, I'm at the games. If you have a problem with what I'm saying, approach me, come see me face to face. This is very important for how things play out in this story. So he said it. I looked at him and I said, "You're right. It had become about me and his dad and how we had elected to communicate with each other." And the shame of it is, I'm 55. Obviously, his father is around my age. And the younger son was the one that had to educate us. This is really about y'all. And so I just said, that's what men do. Kyrie Irving's right. And I called his father. And we resolved everything. We met face to face. All right, so y'all hear that? The way that they resolved the situation was Kyrie, Stephen A. Smith's words, rolled up on Stephen A. Smith at a game. Do you got that same energy? Stephen A. Smith says, "I got that same energy. I'm at the game," right? He realizes, man, this is going the wrong way. This is going the wrong way. I should have approached this differently. Kyrie is the one that's like, we got to fix this. It shouldn't be like this. He admits, man, we should make this about us. This is very important. It's no problem. I said to him, "I'm still going to judge your son by what I see. But this notion that there's going to be personal animus, whatever, I just want my job. If it looked differently, that's on me." And so, real knows real. And when you're a man, you own up and you fess up to the things that you did wrong. Right. And I'm always be that dude. Look, the NBA. All right, we ain't gonna do no ads, but y'all hear that. So that was very important because you're not seeing this nowhere else. Nobody is looking at a situation where Stephen A. Smith has been in a very similar situation and how he handled it. Towards the end of that, what he said was, "This is how men handle things. And if I do something that's wrong, I'm willing to admit it and go back and deal with how I handle it as a man." That's very important. That's very important when we are breaking down this Bronny, Stephen A., LeBron James situation. This is here in the fourth quarter. If you've been here this whole time with me, shout out to you for being here. Definitely tap the like button. If you on Twitch, tap the like button. If you on TikTok, follow me over on Twitch. If you're on Twitch, if you're here from X, definitely appreciate you tapping in. It's my first time really going live long form on X. So hopefully everything turns out right with the live stream. But that's very important. All right, so we're gonna get to the next clip. Next clip we're gonna go to. So before I play what started this whole situation, all right, so just jumping in here real quick. So that was what I gave was I laid another example out of Stephen A. Smith dealing with a player and father and son. So I laid out that situation first so we can use that as kind of set that as the floor of how these situations have been handled previously. So a lot of people who are just saying, "Oh man, LeBron is weak, for rolling up on Stephen A. Smith and all this stuff." Now I'm going to get into how this could have been handled behind the scenes, and it wasn't handled behind the scenes. And this was by Stephen A. Smith's doing, not LeBron's doing. So let's get to it. I'm going to give you some background because this is one thing that's very weird that I realize nobody's looking into. All right, so let's see. I got a lot of stuff on my screens here. Got to get to my notes. This is just me breaking down why Bronny was in that game and a couple of things that actually happened. So we can kind of skip forward here. Let's see. I'm not sure how much forward I need to skip. So All right, so I think we're back to.
He said it. He said, "Oh, we just we flew him in that day, so he wasn't even with the team." So think about that. So
Yeah, we can
maybe
move
this
forward
big old
from
blow
here.
up. Remember, he wasn't with the team, and then he ended up coming up to play. So that tells you that the plan wasn't. They wasn't saying like, "Oh, he's ready. We just need somebody to suit up because we need the bodies." And you can also look at the box score and see that most guys end up playing. I went to the Cavs versus the Charlotte Hornets last night. I'm watching the Cavs. Tristan Thompson didn't play. I'm gonna say it's about 4 guys on the Cavs that end up getting no playing time, which that's normal. That's very normal. Everybody on the bench don't end up playing. Usually only in blowouts is when those guys get in. So it's normal. So Stephen A. Smith should know that. He's been covering the NBA for too long. He's been covering sports for too long. So for him to go this hard at this situation, this is why he created the problem. So let's go.
I spoke about this and I felt the need to elaborate even further because a couple of people text me and piss me off and they know who they are. People close to LeBron James talking to me about questioning him as a father. Come on, y'all.
All right. You see it. He said LeBron's people reached out to him and said, "Hey, you question him as a father." All right. So, hey, when you talk about somebody as a basketball player, LeBron ain't lashing out at everybody who say something. LeBron, he missed. Oh, he went 0 from 6 from the field. He had turnovers. He couldn't guard Maxey. That was no beef. He said it. Stephen A. Brian's people reached out to me and said they had issues with me calling him out as a father. He said it. People, we just got to listen. Listen. All we got to do is listen. If you listen, you'll hear what the beef is. Don't let people tell you the beef is something different when these people are telling you exactly what it is. Let's go.
I mean, it's gotten to a point where
All right, so that's another step in the process of how I was just saying this beef could have been handled behind closed doors. It wasn't handled behind closed doors because Stephen A. Smith dismissed it immediately. So at the very beginning, when this happened, Stephen A. Smith, LeBron's people actually reached out to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith kind of brushed him off and said, basically whatever, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. He's gonna go a long roundabout way of just saying that that's not what it is. And then, of course, they've been telling Stephen A. Smith this is their issue from the very beginning. And he does not want to admit fault. If you remember in the beginning of the other video, he actually admitted fault when he was dealing with the situation with Kyrie, when he was dealing with it behind closed doors and nobody could see it. It wasn't on camera. But for some reason, this situation, he's handling totally different. So I think I got to find a spot where we're going to skip past. Stephen A is going to talk. I remember this. He's going to talk for about 10 minutes. He's never going to go back to the initial issue of LeBron's people reaching out to him behind closed doors. And the reason why that's important is because one of the first things Stephen A. Smith says after LeBron confronted him at the game, he's going to say, we should have handled this behind closed doors, which they reached out to you. That's where it could have been handled, but you brought this out into the light. So let me try to skip forward and try to find that spot because I remember he talks for about 10 minutes and he just doesn't, he never goes to the point of what's actually the issue. So let's see. Just going to skip forward. He's talking. Let's see. All right, he's not getting to the point. So I'm gonna tell y'all right now. It's funny. This was reported a day ago. Bronny James is averaging 21.9 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 5.1 assists, and 7 G League appearances. So that 20 to 25 points he was talking about, Bronny's there. That's what he averaging. So good call. But you still ain't getting to it, man.
I'm simply saying.
It's just funny seeing myself watching the back. Just having the same thoughts. Nothing's changed. He's still not getting to the point. So let's skip forward some more.
Who had one of the best jabs and one of the best right hands in boxing history. And I remember Larry Holmes being interviewed and saying, ain't no kid with 10 damn fights beating me. What's happening with your son right now? It's kind of hard to watch. Not that it won't change, not that it won't get better, but it's not there yet. You can do something about that. Why haven't you?
All right, so y'all see the energy he had. You see how he was talking. You see he was demonstrative. You see he, dropped a couple curse words. Let's see. I don't know if I have it here. Let me pull it up for y'all real quick. Let's see. I ain't gonna do the search. I'm gonna do the search over here, and I'll bring it over. I want to show y'all the YouTube short of Stephen A. Smith and LeBron, their interaction at the game the other night. All right, so there's a reason why I kept telling y'all pay attention to the way. Let me fix this on the screen for y'all. Pay attention to how demonstrative Stephen A. Smith was. Pay attention to how he was carrying himself. I know it don't look right, but this is a short clip. This is short. So we're going to play this. This is from House of Highlights. Fair use for all the videos I use tonight. All right, so you see, remember how Stephen A. Smith was talking? I'm in the arena. Keep this same energy, blah, blah, blah. Remember all that stuff he was talking? All right, let me fix my stuff. All that is important. And I showed you all that because, let's see, which one is it? Not that one. I got a million clips over here. All right, so now this is Stephen A. Smith.
Sounded totally different. Keep that same energy, Stephen A.
It's apparently going viral on social media today, and it also involves yours truly. Last night I was in attendance.
All right, so y'all see how that started out? Apparently it's going viral. Apparently it's going viral.
This is something funny. So, in the clip or in this video that I'm showing of my previous podcast, I bumped up Stephen A. Smith's his speed of how fast he was speaking, and my speed is currently on 1.5 on the video. So, with basically being double speed, it's still his speech pattern isn't any faster.
Not everybody talking about it. Everybody showing it. Let's look at this. This is
That was so.
everybody showing it. So this is one of the most viral situations happening right now. And Stephen A. Smith hit us with apparently it's going viral. Come on, man.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Apparently it's going viral. All right, so I hope y'all heard his demeanor. I hope y'all heard how he was speaking. He sounds dejected. He doesn't have that same energy that he was talking about. He doesn't have any of it. So I'm putting him on 2X because he's talking way too slow. Way too slow. Way too slow for me to deal with. So we're going to speed him up. But apparently it's going viral. Come on, man.
The next Lakers game was sitting courtside where during the timeout, I believe it was in the third quarter, I was confronted by none other than LeBron James himself. LeBron has some choice words for me in regards to comments I made prior about him in regards to his son, Bronny James. Before I get any further, let me just...
You hear how he talking? Where's that same energy you had? Where was that? I'm in the arena. Approach me. And Stephen A. Smith, I've been watching him long enough to know it's a lot of times the NBA players been calling him out and he say, I'm in the arenas. Pull up on me. Approach me. See me face to face. Remember, I showed you the clip. He was on Podcast P with Paul George. Kyrie Irving pulled up on him, man to man, face to face. What Stephen A. Smith say? I'm here, ain't I? I'm here. Kyrie said, you got that same energy? I'm here. I'm here. I'm in the arena, ain't I? That's the energy he was on. That's the time he was on. That's the way he was talking. Do y'all hear any of this and how he's talking now? Let's play it. Y'all tell me. Maybe I'm tripping.
A couple of things that have been reported that are false. People will talk about LeBron calling me out my name, or somebody else, somebody said call me a bitch, somebody said call me a punk. None of that's true. He was fiery. He approached me during the game and he said, stop effing with my son. That's my effing son. Stop effing with my son. I said, what? Nah, man, straight up, man. Real talk. Stop effing with my son. And I saw how furious he was. And I said, he talked about like, nah, stop effing with my son. That's my son. I said, all right, though. Fine. He walked away. That's all.
Where was that energy? I'm in the arenas. I'm here. Pull up on me. Oh, Kyrie, he rolled up on me. Where was that same energy? Where was it? You know what? This one kind of be long, but we're going to go back. We're going to revisit the energy that he had. Remember what he said?
And credit to Kyrie. I mean, listen, it's really nobody's business, but I feel because the story took on a life of its own, I really owe it to people to let them know. I hope I'm not violating Kyrie's trust. I usually don't. I don't betray people's trust. That's just a big thing for me. But I'll tell you, we were at the Staples. Kyrie rolls up on me. Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies. He rolls up. I think it was that number. He rolls up on me. He taps me on the back and he's like, "You still got that same energy, face to face?" I said, "I'm saying, and he was like, "It's really not about me anymore." And I looked at him and I said, "You're right."
Remember early on, I kept saying, this is very important. This is very important. He said, I'm here, ain't I? Kyrie rolled up on me. Keep that same energy, right? You see how he's talking in this interview with Podcast P? Let's go back. You see how he was talking? We played this whole clip. He's talking in slow motion. They called him out for something very specific. They said they didn't like the fact he questioned LeBron as a father. He went on this whole tirade. He wasted 12 minutes of our time blowing air. He was blowing air for 12 minutes before he finally said, I have no reason to believe LeBron is not a good father. He was blowing air. Blowing air. That's what he was doing. He was wasting our time blowing air. And you see, I told you, I said, pay attention to how demonstrative he is. Pay attention to how he's dropping curse words. Pay attention to his energy. Pay attention to his bravado. Now, let's go to how he's talking now. And remember, I have this on chipmunk mode. I got this on 2x speed. Actually, I'm going to take it off chipmunk mode so y'all can hear exactly how he's talking. You can see how he's not keeping that same energy. You can see how he is dejected. He is dejected because he always said, roll up on me. Actually, I'm not going to tell y'all how to think about it. I'm going to play it so y'all can hear it.
Well, he said,
listen to this voice.
I knew what he was talking about. I've spoken about this before. Matter of fact, I heard that not many, not all, but a few players were upset at me about that. I think one player in particular was Draymond Green, who I haven't spoken to since and has no desire.
All right, so that's just to bring everybody up to speed on the situation. You see there, you see me just speaking about the situation and what I see. And to me, it just seems like, Stephen A. Smith just didn't maintain that same energy. He was not speaking the same way. He was not carrying himself the same way. So, you just see me breaking it down. All right, with playing the video from LeBron. And this is going to be, I have it set at the point where LeBron is going to speak about Brian Windhorst, and then I'm going to go in reverse order. So we're going to start off with LeBron, then we're going to go back to how he's viewed, and then we're going to break it down and pull it up to speed. And then we're going to end it off with how Brian Windhorst responds to the whole situation. All right, so I should be at the proper point here. Actually, I'm
just weird, but
all right. So here it is, right here. I was able to find it. This is where he's going to speak some about Brian Windhorst. They call him Wendy. It's easier to call him Wendy. We'll just call him Wendy.
wait, Wendy,
What the
he
hell?
wasn't like, isn't that
not
your,
real?
ain't that, you know, like
That's not real?
Yeah, it was our forcer, huh?
Knew it.
Yeah, he went on his show and said, you know, like, oh, don't let LeBron fool you. Like, he wears number 23 because of Michael Jordan. Okay, that's a fact. He signed with Nike because of Michael Jordan. It's like, no, the fuck I didn't. I signed with Nike because I got a hell of a signing bonus, and they gave me a 7-year, $90 million contract. And I moved my mom out of the hood the next day I signed that contract. Like, and ultimately, my whole thing is like, what do I want to wear off the court? It's like, I want to wear fucking Nikes. Like, I want to wear Jordans. I want to wear pennies. I want to wear Bo Jacksons. I want to wear Air Maxes. I want to wear, like, you know, so.
Primes.
Like, you know, like, what are we talking about? So, like, I knew there was a responsibility for sure. Like,
all right, so that's what he had to say about Brian, or that's what he had to say about Wendy. And so just to give you a little backstory, Wendy was in college when LeBron was in high school. Everybody saw he was going to be a star. He was a local beat writer, so they had him cover LeBron, and he's covered LeBron since either 10th or 11th grade in high school. So he's been covering LeBron the most. So around ESPN, around media, it's viewed that he is the closest thing to LeBron's circle in the media. And basically, how Wendy is viewed on ESPN, if he says something about LeBron, they take it as gold because they believe that he's been around him enough, he has a close enough relationship, and he has an understanding of LeBron. So he's even written books about LeBron. I got one of them here. It's kind of weird. Let's see if I can show it here. So let's go back and go here, go this way. All right, so I even have one of them here. He wrote about, you know, he wrote 4 books about LeBron. I got one of them there. Just an example of, you know, how their names are kind of tied together. And that's what LeBron had to say. So we see how short that is. So some people said that they were upset. So LeBron's 3 main points. Wendy is not my best friend. 1, I do wear 23 because of Michael Jordan. 2, or actually 3, 1, we're not friends. 2, Michael Jordan, number 23. And 3 is the reason why he's selling Nike. And it goes on actually more in the clip that LeBron is referencing. You're going to hear, I'm not going to tell y'all what it is. I'm going to let y'all hear it. But basically, he's going to say why LeBron signed with Nike. And LeBron directly from the horse's mouth says that's not it. So that's just an old saying. You'll hear me say old sayings from time to time. But from the horse's mouth is when you go to the source to get the content. So now let's get to, I'm going to give you an example of how on ESPN, how they would lean on Brian Windhorst and Wendy and his long time of covering LeBron, of how they would just kind of look at it as things he says right. So this is an example. This is from a couple years ago. So let's get this playing.
We're not a team that's constructed of great shooting. And that's just the truth of the matter is, it's not like, you know, we're sitting here with a lot of lasers on our team. So, you know, but that doesn't deter us from still trying to get great shots. And when we get those opportunities, you take them. But we're not sitting here with a bunch of 40-plus career three-point shooting guys.
Brian Windhorst, Ramona Shelburne, Ken Perkins, or
all right, so you hear what LeBron just said. He was basically talking at the time. They didn't have a bunch of three-point shooters. So watch how this starts and watch who they go to first and watch what the person actually says when they go to him.
they're all hanging out with us today. Brian, that's what LeBron said. But there's something that he did that stood out to you?
All right, so you see, they're not even going based on what LeBron says. Malika Andrews, she went straight to Brian Windhorst, and this is from a couple years ago. This is from Wendy, a couple years ago, and basically they're going to highlight something that LeBron does, and look at how they break down the situation.
Truth shake. When LeBron gives that, when he makes a statement and gives the shake, that's a tell. He's laying it out. Now, I usually see the truth shake in like January or February, about 7 to 10 days out from the trade deadline, when he evaluates where his team is.
So you see how they didn't go based on what LeBron actually said. They went to Wendy, and Wendy is saying, hey, that's a tell sign that he's telling the truth because he doesn't shake. Okay. So this is just to give you an idea of how they would look at his experience and his time covering LeBron, and basically they would say he knows more. So I think that's one of the reasons why LeBron is saying, hey, he's been around, he's been covering me. Yes, we have a relationship, but it's not like we buddy, like, our family spend time together. It's not none of that. So basically that's the wall that LeBron is making sure he puts up. And remember the points. First one, not best friend. Second one, 23 because of Jordan. Third one, signed with Nike because of Michael Jordan. And LeBron said that the last one, the first two, or the 1 and 3 were not true. So let's get to the next clip.
Can both say that I am held to an I know it's not as fun to.
Okay, so this is not that long ago, because you see Gilbert Arenas is actually on he's on First Take, and they were out in LA. So this is not that long ago. This is when everybody was talking about the face of the league conversation. So let's get to it.
Say both, because LeBron can both say that I am held to an unfair standard, and yet he chose to wear number 23. He said also in this clip, we cut it out just for brevity, he also said, I never asked to be the face of the league.
Lies.
Of course.
So you hear Stephen in the background say lies. So he's calling LeBron a liar again. You see Gilbert kind of look down like, y'all tripping. But let's listen to the rest of it.
He asked to be the face of the league. He signed.
Okay, so you hear Stephen A again. That's a flat out lie.
A $90 million Nike contract, which he could have signed with Reebok for more money, by the way, but he signed with Nike. Why? Because of Jordan. So
from that clip, so Stephen A and Brian are agreeing. LeBron signed, he wears number 23 because of Michael Jordan. So they agree there. LeBron agrees there. They also say that he wanted to be the face of the league because he signed the $90 million Nike contract, which I don't know how that correlates, because most guys, more people sign with Nike than they sign with Reebok. So you don't even have to, if you just kind of understand, just a young athlete coming up, more are going to lean towards Nike than Reebok. That's just what it is. At the time when LeBron was coming into the league, Reebok did have they had Iverson at the time. He had a long run with them. Besides that, it wasn't many NBA players who were going with Reebok over Nike. And if you remember, just to give you a little backstory, Reebok wanted LeBron to take a $10 million check that he wouldn't meet with any other companies. LeBron turned that down. LeBron has told this story multiple times. So he was saying, basically, if they're offering me this, what are the other ones offering me? LeBron gave it additional context by saying he signed based on the money they gave him and based on the shoes that he wanted to wear off the court. So in this situation, I have to believe LeBron is telling the truth on why he wanted to sign with Nike. But this is another situation where Stephen A is calling him a liar 2 times in this short clip, I should say. And Brian Windhurst is saying he signed with Nike because he wanted to follow in Jordan's footsteps. He wore 23 because of Jordan. And because he signed with Nike, he wanted to be the face of the league, which makes no sense. Stephen A. Smith also agrees with this. Gilbert Arenas is just sitting up there like, I don't know what y'all talking about. That's better.
Show. There was some.
All right, so this is Brian Windhorst on his podcast responding to LeBron's interview. So this is what he says.
Comments made by LeBron yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. Any reaction to that? The floor is yours.
LeBron doesn't owe me anything. I owe him a lot. He has been a great friend to my hometown and my alma mater. That I would stand on. Anything else, I would never say or never stand on. So just know, Chris, that I met LeBron 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. And my understanding of LeBron and where people stand in his life has been crystal clear for a long time.
There was some comments.
All right, so you see Wendy's response there. You don't see him getting emotional. You don't see him taking it personal. You don't see any of those things. You see him just saying, hey, it is what it is. LeBron has done more for me than I could do for him. And, he understands that. So now we're going to bring this clip into it. I thought this was funny because to me, this is Wendy's response.
Oh, you want some of this too, old man? Huh? No. Get off your ass and
To me, that's what Wendy said. LeBron said, you want some of this too? Wendy says, nope, I don't want any more of that. So now let's just go back. Let's go back to why this started. And we're just going to play this short clip from LeBron, and we're going to see how outrageous
You guys
it
played
is.
together in high school.
Yeah,
right? He was on your high school.
this guy was like, says he's like my fucking best friend. These guys are just weird, but
Wait, Wendy. He wasn't on. Isn't that your? Ain't that?
that's
not real.
Yeah, he was our enforcer, huh?
Knew it.
Yeah, he went on his show and said, oh, don't let LeBron fool you. Like, he wears number 23 because of Michael Jordan. Okay, that's a fact. He signed with Nike because of Michael Jordan. It's like, no, the fuck I didn't. I signed with Nike because I got a hell of a signing bonus, and they gave me a 7-year, $90 million contract. And I moved my mom out of the hood the next day I signed that contract. And ultimately, my whole thing is like, what do I want to wear off the court? It's like, I want to wear fucking Nikes. I want to wear Jordans. I want to wear pennies.
So that's LeBron's response. So to me, it makes sense. I think that Wendy handled that the perfect way. He doesn't want this feud going on. He doesn't want this drama. He doesn't want to deal with it. And also, he never said LeBron lied about what he said. So I think that's the thing that's missing here. So from this whole situation, now we just went through with Wendy. Wendy saying, look, hey, one under the bridge, he did more for my career than I could ever do for him. I need him more than he ever needed me. So those are facts. And then he didn't say, hey, no, LeBron is lying. No, because this is one thing that people are doing in this year, 2025. People are calling the person who actually made the decision a liar and believing the people who speculate on how and why they made the decision. This is just lunacy. We have to just look at things like, you see LeBron's memory. You see he recalled the 3 things that Wendy said, and so they're not playing this clip right in front of him. None of those things. He recalled it back to his memory. So those are things that he remembered. Like, no, that's not true. That stuff he's saying is not real. So, to me, I would say 1 LeBron, 0 Wendy. But I will give Wendy points for not engaging in it, not, doing anything for clout and just saying, hey, it is what it is. We got to move on. So, shout out to Wendy, shout out to LeBron. Shout out to now we're going to get to, this is an actual clip from the interview where he's going to be talking about, where LeBron's going to be talking about Stephen A.
Hey, legit. That feels like a moment that had been brewing for a long time.
He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're watching it. Yep. We're all seeing it.
Oh yeah.
You're seeing it as well.
He literally. It started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it, but since the video came out, I feel the need to address it.
Yeah, went viral. You would be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you could address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously, it's, and like another, he completely missed the whole point. The whole point. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about him again. Oh my God, He's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch.
I hope at some point you two do get a chance. But you're right.
Dude, like relax, bro. Like relax.
All right, so that's LeBron speaking on Stephen A. He says it there. He completely missed it. So this is what we're gonna do. So the fourth quarter is gonna be all about Stephen A. and how Stephen A. missed it. But in this third quarter, we got LeBron saying, "Hey, what's up? What's happening?" Well, I'm gonna go to some other people in the media who seem to see what the issue was from the very beginning. So first, let's go to Nick Wright. I reacted to Nick Wright previously on here. Fair use for all the videos that I'm reacting to today. Fair use. So this is Nick Wright. It's about 8 minutes long. I don't know if we're gonna play the entire 8 minutes, but we're gonna get to it. And basically, this is his reaction to, or this is his response to the situation with LeBron and Stephen A. So let's get to it.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. You want to put on LeBron James' basketball tombstone a 15-second sequence? Put the end of that Pacers game with the context of the day. So here's what it is. Down one, got to get a stop. Can't double off guys on the Pacers because they all can shoot. Bron realizes, oh, shot clock's down to 3. You're not going to have time to pass. Sends his double, creates the terrible shot, and before the shot's even missed, is leaked out and would have the go-ahead layup. Luka doesn't see it in time. They pitch it ahead late. All of the guys who have fewer career playoff buzzer beaters, who have worse career field goal percentage in the clutch, who are, by any objective measure, worse in the biggest moments, but we deify because those players historically have put their personal glory ahead of the team. All of those guys, when they get the pitch ahead, down 1, 6 seconds, are saying, I don't care that a double is being sent my way. I'm taking this damn shot. Not LeBron James. Make the right play in the moment and for the big picture. In the moment, Luka's more open and big picture. We need him to be the guy and be great. I'm giving him the ball. And Luka said after the game how much confidence that gave him, that in that moment, that day, the LeBron James ESPN day, he could have said, I'm making sure I'm taking the last shot. He said, no, make the right play. And Luka missed. But for the all-around greatest player ever, guess what? Right position, right effort, a little more energy, a little higher IQ, in the right spot for the tip-in for his first buzzer beater since he walked off the Raptors in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinals in 2018 as a Cav. 8th career buzzer beater.
I'm just gonna stop this real quick. Fun fact: I was back home, so I was actually at that game. That was where he hit the running shot that he hit it off, threw it off glass, and made that. It was a great play. They actually used, they ran the full length of the court so they could waste more clock off, so it could be a walk-off buzzer beater, and they did give Toronto any time to actually respond to it. So I was actually at that game, so that was pretty sweet.
3rd in the regular season. 5 in the playoffs, which for those keeping track at home, more than Kobe and Mike combined. More on Kobe, the late, great Kobe Bryant, who didn't ask to be brought into this, but got brought into this in just a moment. So go watch those last 15 seconds and see why LeBron's the best player we've ever seen. Because in year 22 at age 40, he understood when to send a double. He understood how to leak out. He understood, oh, I'm getting doubled. It's not about me and my ego. And he understood, in case Luka misses, let me be in the right spot. And so on a day that as much pressure as could be on a player in a regular season March game, LeBron delivered with another brilliant fourth quarter and with the game-winning tip-in. And then got on his phone, found out that Stephen A. had told the world, if LeBron had put his hands on me, I would have swung on him. And so he posts the pictures, the video of Stephen A. boxing, and now the feud goes on.
This is what LeBron posted. And he actually, he used a funny sound effect. He used this one here. Chris Maddox and Rachel Nichols. Another breakdown.
By talking a little bit about your former employer over at ESPN, which is in quite the navel-gazing phase, if you will.
Got on 1.25. We might go 1.5. We're going to see what
LeBron James,
is.
he was on Pat McAfee's show on Wednesday in studio. Lakers in town to play the Pacers. Kudos to McAfee and his team for getting him in for over an hour to talk. And talked about a few things that I found pretty interesting. JJ Redick, Luka Doncic, LeBron's own relationship with the media, which flows from the reaction to the decision back in 2010. But he also took time to address the viral interaction that he had with Stephen A. Smith and Stephen A.'s response to it. Take a listen.
Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. And I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna be smiling from ear to ear when he hears me talking about it again. Oh my God, he's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair and his tidy whities on the couch.
I hope at some point you two do get a chance. But you're right.
Dude, relax, bro. Relax.
Here's what I know now, Rachel. I am not watching ESPN tomorrow. That's for sure, because that's what ESPN is going to be about tomorrow. Stephen A. response to LeBron, to McAfee. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Chris, you don't have to wait until tomorrow. We're recording this in the middle of the day on Wednesday, and I believe ESPN has games Wednesday night. I assume that Stephen A. will be delivering a soliloquy this evening, so you may want to adjust your viewing schedule that way.
I know, and I'll be watching. I think the Celtic game is on ESPN. Actually, I'll be watching that at 10 o'clock. But no, I don't need to see that reaction. I mean, this was kind of inevitable. I do think LeBron has a bit of a point. Like, I do think Stephen A. wanted to address it because it's good content for the show, for his YouTube page. At the same time, I think LeBron also could have chosen a less public setting to, say whatever he wanted to say about it. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what it was about.
So I'm just going to chime in here about him saying LeBron should have chose a less public setting. Remember, at the very beginning of the video, first quarter, we were going over how we got here. And part of how we got here is they tried to back channel the conversation with Stephen A. Stephen A. dismissed him from the beginning. So Chris Mannix, some of the details he's going to be missing. Rachel Nichols is going to bring him up to speed.
His son that Stephen A. specifically said that set him off. There were a couple of different clips that were out there of Stephen A. maybe being a little too condescending about Bronny.
I think it was and LeBron made this point today, the real ringer, bell ringer was, as a father, I'm pleading with you, this is in Stephen A's words, to stop this, to get him off the court as a father, as a parent, if you, and sort of expounded, and I'm not quoting here, but expounded on the idea of if you really cared about your son, you wouldn't be putting him through this. And so that's the quote.
So it's funny, I paused this at the exact right time. So Rachel Nichols, just right off the top of her head, went right back to where this started. If you remember last week's episode where I thought it was going to be the last time we are going to talk about it, Nick Wright knew exactly when it started. If you go back to the beginning of this episode where I'm playing my reaction 3 weeks ago, I knew exactly where this started. So everybody knows where this started, and it's funny because now you see Chris Mannix with just a slight smirk on his face. I don't know if he's reading something or if it just clicked with him. Oh, I forgot about that. Either or. But everybody saw this coming. Everybody saw what the issue was. I even went into a deeper dive of, why that would even trigger LeBron. So go back, if you go to my X account, look at my broadcast, and you can see that full broadcast where, go to the fourth quarter and you can see where I break down a little bit more of why that would trigger LeBron with Stephen A. saying that. So let's get back to the video.
That LeBron was responding to in the moment. And that's sort of what he addressed today as well, was, look, you can criticize my son on the court all you want, but don't take it personal. Don't bring it into my own house, is how he phrased it. And that's what he was talking about. And of course, as we all know, and you played the clip, he addresses the fact, oh, I'm sure Stephen A's loving this. This is what's happening right now with you, Pat, because he's going to use it as content for the next few days. And of course, the Taylor Swift tour quote as well is just priceless.
No, there's going to be a lot.
They are right about that. Stephen A. Smith, he keeps talking about it. So if you remember, he talked about it on First Take. He talked about it on his own podcast. He then went on Gil's Arena after the initial situation. After Gil's Arena, he went on another, I believe it was on Hannity. He talked about it. He talked about it again on ESPN. He talks about it again on his own podcast. Then this situation happened. He talked about it again. He called LeBron a liar the night of on his own podcast. The very next day, to start he did an opening monologue on First Take. He talked about it for 16 or 17 straight minutes. So, I think that's one of the things that he's kind of missing. So if you remember, if you've been staying with me and you've been watching, just my breakdowns on situations, I've been saying that, even though some of the sports analysts, broadcasters, debaters, whatever place you put them in, who speak on sports every day. Now that they are on YouTube and they have their own platforms that they're promoting and pushing, they're trying to go viral. You know, we kind of saw that in the Todd Mache where he said 3 different times, people are going to clip this, when he was talking about the Shador situation. We saw that. So they're trying to go viral. So they're trying to get their stuff pumping and pushed out there. The problem is, if you notice, it's just like people who create content now, they're getting more outrageous and doing more outrageous things so they can go viral. And that even means that they will milk a story and just keep talking about the same story over and over, especially something tied to LeBron James, where he's the most popular American athlete. So if you have interaction with the most popular American athlete, you're going to continuously talk about it, you know, and that's what Stephen A is doing. And he's doing that so he can use that situation. He's doing it for clout, and that's what it is. So, you know, everybody sees this, everybody understands this. So, you know, everybody expects it. That's why you got so many people calling it out. So now I just showed you here, everybody sees the point. You know, everybody sees what happened. Let me do some background stuff here. Everybody sees what happened. Everybody understands the point. Everybody knows why this situation happened. Now, I said a couple weeks ago that Stephen A, he should have just stopped talking about the subject. Say, hey, my bad, keep it moving. A little bit of an older song, but definitely just something I thought about when I was just putting it all together. And I'm like, you know, you have these, you know, 50-plus-year-old guy in Stephen A. And, you know, he's kind of chasing this. He's chasing this virality. He's chasing this buzz. He's chasing this. And when you are chasing the wrong things, you can put yourself in situations that just aren't good. You know, so this is one of those situations where I saw this crash out coming because he had multiple opportunities where he could have let this thing go, and he just didn't let it go. And part of it is very similar to something I covered a couple weeks ago. Actually, I covered it last week. I didn't. All right, so you see it here. So this is my actual YouTube page. This is where I break down the clips and anything that's not YouTube friendly. I have to cut it out, but you get the basis, the meat and potatoes of what I'm talking about in every episode. You just don't get some of the commentary in between, and some of the clips I actually have to cut out because, you know, you get copyright. For instance, any music I have to cut out. When I use a clip from First Things First, I had to cut that out. Fox, you know, kind of just had that automatic copyright on it right away. But this video here that I have up on the screen is me saying, me speaking on, can the media go too far? And in this situation, I looked at it and I saw that Bull was going too far. And, you know, I was like, man, this is too far. Like, you are, in this video, he was talking about Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson is getting engaged and he's putting out a hype video. And Bull went too far calling. He was calling Deshaun Watson's fiance names. He was calling Deshaun names. And I was saying, hey, what are you going to do when, you know, you get that face-to-face meeting or somebody, you know, confronts you? I don't mean it in a physical way, because like LeBron, he didn't confront Stephen A in a physical way. He just went up to him and just let him know he was serious. And hey, you got to relax. What you're doing is not cool. You got to leave it alone. So I've already been kind of on this wave of like, you know, the media, they're kind of muddying things up. So just think about it. You put a line straight down the middle. One side you got black, one side you got white. Instead of it just being black and white and you saying this stuff is inbounds, this stuff is out of bounds, you know, they're adding a circle on that goes, it teeters on both sides, and they're putting a gray area in the middle. And they are kind of living in that gray area. And if you notice, LeBron said he has a responsibility to his household. He also has a responsibility to the players. Now, you're probably, you know, thinking like, what is he even talking about, this responsibility to the players? So I went back. We're going to do this thing live. So let me switch it up. Let's see, where's my other tab at? I got so many clips just depending on how things go. So when he's talking about how he has to do things to protect the players, there we go. He's talking about situations where they are out of bounds when they speak on players. And you will have, let's see. I thought this was a good clip. So this is Michael Jordan.
And express that and tell the truth so you guys, it's a time.
All right, so this is a thing that's been going on since before right now, where players are trying to take a stand and say, hey, y'all are crossing that ground and y'all are going into some stuff that's out of bounds. So let's see what MJ has to say about that.
In my private life, and I really didn't like it, and I don't agree with it, but I felt I need to come out and express that and tell the truth so you guys can quit hallucinating and taking it further than what it is. You know, and now you know what it is from my standpoint. Anything else that you hear is totally false if it's not to what I just told you. And that's the honest truth. And that's all I can tell you.
All right, so that's MJ. He's saying, hey, this is, I know the first thing people want to do is say, oh, he's talking about when they were going across the line or over the board when they're talking about stuff that happened to his father when his dad was murdered. Yes, they were overboard and that was an extreme situation, but it doesn't change the fact that they crossed the line into personal and he didn't like it. So this isn't something new that the media has been doing, but I think in the NFL, it doesn't happen as much where they are calling NFL players out of their name, calling them bums, calling them, making nicknames about them. It doesn't happen as much in the NFL. But in the NBA, it's been happening for years where the media coverage, they have been making the nicknames. They have been mocking the players. They have been talking down on the players to the point where fans even felt empowered and comfortable to be calling people out of their name and going way across the line of rooting for your team and not rooting for your team. To the point where if you go and you sit basically courtside, they have signs. I should have got these pictures from my phone. They have signs where you have to watch what you say to the players. You say something crazy to the players, the coaches, the refs, they'll kick you out the game. And there's signs right there on your seat so you can see it. So people have been pushing the line further and further. And basically, when you let a situation get too far out of control, you got to overcorrect to fix it. So in this case, wow, this is one of the reasons why I'm saying I can see Stephen A's crash out happening is because for so long, they've basically been able to talk about players in any type of way and hide behind the fact that I'm doing my job, I'm covering the game. So let's see. I kind of went to it last week about how more players, they're pushing back. So this is a situation that's going to be hard, but I'm going to read it for y'all. This is Skip Bayless. Amused by Cam Hayward's backtrack on Aaron Rodgers, he realized exactly what I said on my show, that it has to come to this for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They now desperately need what's left of Aaron Rodgers. It's looking like that or Mason Rudolph. And Cam Hayward says, I'm amused you can't add me or at least spell my name right. So I've been saying that players they're taking a lot of this into their own hands and they are calling out the media in real time in a lot of situations. And that is a wide change because only a few players used to do it, notable players, Kevin Durant or something like that. But now you have more players saying, hey, that's a lie. They're calling them out. Look at the Jimmy Butler situation where the Jimmy Butler's agent was going to Shams and, it was a lot of that back and forth. So you had these situations. This is a classic one with Skip. So
that's debatable.
All right, so this is, you see how grainy it is. This is first take. This is very old, but Skip, he was doing some of those personal attacks. Richard Sherman said, hey, put me on the show. I'll be on the show. You see Stephen A there. This is grainy. I can't even make this more clear because it's so old. So let's go back to the beginning of the clip. I'm going to let you hear what Sherman has to say.
I think you think more of yourself than you actually can, prove. But
okay. Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
In my 24 years of life, I'm better at life than you.
Okay.
So
all right, that's fair.
So I can't even make this louder. This is loud as it gets. He just told Skip, in my 24 years of life, I'm better at life than you. And you see Stephen A's eyes closed because he just like, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh.
Well, let's not get personal here. I just want to know.
So you heard that? What is the first thing that Skip said? Oh, let's not get personal here. Wait, no need to get personal. What are we getting personal for? You see how quick he did that in real time when someone got personal with him? But for so many years, Skip. He's called, Westbrook, West Brick, and got people calling him out his name. And as soon as someone says something to your face, oh, well, why are we getting personal? I mean, it just made me think of another situation with Jalen Rose and Skip. So let's see.
Too much time and too hard of an academic.
All right, so this clip is so old that basically we're about to watch this clip from 15 years ago, recorded off somebody's phone of their TV. That's how old and how long these situations have been going on. So let me get up on the screen for you here. All right, so here it is. It's going to be kind of shaky. It's going to move around. I'll make sure I get as loud as I can. I'm not going to be able to make this more clear. This video is super grainy, so there's nothing I can do to kind of make it less grainy. Technology wasn't like that 15 years ago.
Academic school, and I quit. It was the best choice I ever made because I had no chance of making it there as any kind of a starting player.
So just let me give you a little backstory. So Jalen Rose, Skip was going to Jalen Rose. And Jalen Rose was like, all right, I want to be on the show. Put me on the show against Skip. What Jalen Rose did, Jalen Rose dug up Skip's stats in school when he played basketball, and he put those stats in Skip's face. And basically, this is Skip responding to being faced with the facts of what he was as a basketball player in high school.
So that has nothing to do with anything, but I have that much knowledge. Then I look at Mickey Loomis, who just built the Super Bowl winning New Orleans Saints, didn't play high school football. In my days in Dallas, Gil Brandt built the dynasty Dallas Cowboys of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He didn't play any high school sport. So how does he know? How did he have any idea how to build that dynasty? Then I look across the board. We have a new wave in baseball and the NBA of these GMs who are computer heads, who are Moneyball GMs. We have a whole bunch of them. Sam Presti in Oklahoma.
Oh man, just the language. He's like, they're computer heads. Now they would just be called. They would say they were using analytics, but 15 years ago, he's like, they're computer heads. He's gonna talk about Sam Presti in Oklahoma City, which, man, Sam Presti has been doing a great job for so long. This is 15 years old.
Oklahoma City, and we have countless in baseball.
Oh, the Ivy Leaguers.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Theo Epstein in Boston.
They didn't play. They're unathletic.
Look at Jalen Rose's demeanor here. Look at his demeanor. He like, I don't care about what you're saying. I know I got you now.
We saw Lawrence Frank coach in New Orleans. In New Jersey. Didn't play the game. Am I right?
You see how he looking at him?
I think Jalen thinks you're wrong.
Okay, then on the flip side, let's look at the greatest player in the history of any sport, Michael Jordan.
Is this a debate? No, it's
no. I'm just making my case. Wait a second. Was Michael Jordan the worst GM I've ever?
So you hear that? He said, is this a debate or is this Skip's bio? So that was funny. Let's keep it going.
Yes, he was, which is typically what happens to the greater the player, the less perspective he usually has on how to play.
So that's Skip's monologue. Now tell Skip why he's wrong.
Well, this is the thing. There are people that have had success in our country that didn't graduate from high school, that didn't graduate from college. But you're not going to go tell kids to follow their lead because they're individual cases. For example, somebody like Bill Gates, he didn't graduate from college, right?
Okay, let's keep it in a sports context.
But he's had tremendous amount of success in his life. But
you see how Skip is already. So Jalen Rose, he let him go on and on and on, and you see how Skip is already chiming in. Oh, let's keep it to sports. Why are you changing it to sports? He gave you the first example he gave you. He said, okay, there are people who didn't graduate high school, but would you encourage kids to not graduate high school? No, you wouldn't. So that was a point that Skip couldn't refute. So he said, bad analogy. Yeah, it's a bad analogy because that's something you can't, it's no way around it. You can't come back from that. So basically the first one, boom. And you just listen, you'll hear, he already got Skip. He won with his first take, he won already.
But when I go talk to a bunch of high school kids, I'm not going to use him as an example because he's one of a kind. And I say all that to say this. The reason why when you say or you demean other people that's done it is because you don't understand or respect the time, energy, and effort that has gone into being a professional. It's more than just watching the 48 minutes of the game. It's the physical, the mental, the emotional. You can't determine what goes on in the foxhole if you've never been in the foxhole. And the reason why people get on your case about that is because you're insensitive a lot of times to the fact when you say, oh, you know a whole heck of a lot about sitting. Well, I'd rather sit on the Phoenix Suns bench than wonder about how I'm going to pull a hamstring running on the treadmill like you do every day. So
that was a personal shot. So basically, Jalen Rose, he took his time. He's breaking down. He's hitting all of Skip's points. This is one thing I want y'all to see. So this is from 15 years ago. You were seeing an athlete. Skip Bayless called him out for being on the bench when he was playing for Phoenix and not getting into the game. He is basically destroying Skip's argument in real time to his face. And you see how Skip is responding.
That's the difference. And also, you have to be unbiased. We know if LeBron James goes out and scores 59 points in the first quarter and he misses the game-winning shot, you're going to say, oh, he doesn't have the clutch gene. What players?
Am I wrong about that?
But this is my.
Well, you're totally dismissing his 59 points in the first. You always focus on the ugly pixel in the beautiful picture, and sometimes
So y'all hear that? That's funny because that's Jay Crawford. Jay Crawford is now on UCSS, and basically he plays a lot of contrarian, and his argument style is very similar to Skip. He even he used to reference Skip all the time. So in the first, I don't know if it was the first year of UCSS, but when I started watching UCSS, I don't watch as much anymore because I don't want to kind of change my opinion on how I view things by seeing too much, of someone else's opinion. So I kind of limit it now. But I remember when Baker Mayfield, as soon as Baker Mayfield ended up leaving Cleveland, he would say, oh, we get a boost. We get a bump in ratings every time we talk about Baker. We're going to keep talking about Baker. And when Skip was at ESPN, he knew what to talk about, and he would always talk about the same things because of the ratings. So he used to say that a lot. But I find it pretty funny that I haven't heard him, just in the time that I've seen, I haven't heard him mention Skip since Skip has basically ruined a great show that he had with Shannon Sharp, and by disrespecting Shannon Sharp's career and going and trying to create a new show to contend with First Take, and basically, that show flaming out and Skip now being on YouTube. So it's funny that, he's saying this, how he's saying that to Skip, but that's kind of how he does things now. It's kind of funny. Let's get back to it.
LeBron James,
I got another analogy. And I like Brandon Marshall as a football player. You would take Brandon Marshall's character over Terrell Owens' character.
Absolutely.
And this man has tremendous off the court and off the field issues. Terrell Owens' issues have been on the field. But yet we know that you don't like T.O., so that you're going to take your opinion personally.
Wait a second. If I spent time around T.O., yes, I do. I know him? Yes, I do. Have you spent time around Terrell Owens? No.
I spend time with Terrell Owens. I play basketball with Terrell Owens all the time. See, that's another thing. You don't know. That's the whole issue. So you can't necessarily comment on things sometimes that you don't know, buddy. We love you, but...
All right. I thought that would be a healthy debate.
So this is funny. So I'm gonna tell you all a little bit more about kind of the follow up to kind of what happened after this. So after this aired, it was so tense. And Skip was so mad about Jalen Rose bringing up what happened in my high school. On the next show, they did an opening monologue with Skip talking about the high school coach breaking his confidence and all this stuff because it hurt him that much. But if you just talk about the essence of a debate, Jalen Rose listened. He destroyed Skip's points. And even to the very end where Skip didn't know that Jalen Rose has a relationship with T.O. And he was saying you would take him over T.O. T.O. is probably top 5 receiver of all time. Brandon Marshall is not top 5 receiver of all time. That's no disrespect to Brandon Marshall. He's just not top 5 receiver of all time. T.O. is. So just by saying you would take a lesser receiver and it's lesser in context, to T.O., it just doesn't make sense. It showed you got some flaw in how you're viewing the situation, and that's what Jalen Rose was pointing out to him. He said, he's saying that basically your approach is flawed. So this was just to show you that athletes have been pushing back on the media, discrediting them for a very long time. This didn't just start. So if you don't know about Skip and T.O., Skip is part of the reason why the narrative of T.O. was so bad, even though T.O. didn't get into any off the field issues. He never got into any off the field issues. But Skip was part of pushing that narrative. And remember, this is from a time where you didn't have podcasts. You didn't have a million podcasts where people could, interview T.O. and he could tell his side of the story. Everything went through the media. So the media was ran a totally different 15, 20 years ago. So the media can influence your career. They can influence you getting into the Hall of Fame. They can influence your awards. They can influence so much that you kind of had to treat them totally different than how you can handle the media now. So this is just to show you. So we went all the way back to Michael Jordan. Him saying, the media, y'all get into the personal, that's too far. All right, so we go back at 15 years. You got Jalen Rose. I'm not sure exactly when this originally aired, but this video is from 15 years ago. I'm pretty sure it aired before that. So, because I don't think this was from 2010, just based on like the setup and the camera, it looks way older than that. So you have Jalen Rose saying you discredit athletes and you don't take into consideration everything they do physically, mentally, and emotionally to get themselves ready, prepared to go. You just kind of discredit them. And basically, he took some shots because Skip always talked about how he run on the treadmill. So he really did his homework on Skip prior to going into this debate that he had with him. So we'll just show you, for a very long time, the pendulum swung one way. So basically, what happens with situations is we overcorrect the situation and change the balance of power. So for instance, if the balance of power was with the players, they swung it to the media. So then now when the media has just had the power and the control for so long, now you got to shift the balance of power back to the players to kind of balance it out. So you'll see this thing keep coming up. So part of the reason why LeBron went so hard at the media, in my opinion, is to protect other players also. So if you can personally talk about LeBron and LeBron can have to deal with you going in on him personally, what can a lesser NBA player say if they're attacking LeBron like this? A lesser NBA player just got to deal with them attacking it. But if LeBron goes to the number one person in sports media and doesn't back down from him attacking his personal life, everybody else has to fall in line. Because now with LeBron pushing back with his voice, and he's going at the biggest person, how can the lesser people talk crazy about athletes without them getting that same pushback? You already seen it on all levels of athletes pushing back on how they are covered and when it crosses the line into the personal. So I just wanted to take you back to, just how long this has been going on, because this is not new. So now we're going to start at the end of the story and work our way back to what LeBron said about Stephen A. and Stephen A's crash out. So this is the reason why I saw this coming. So Skip Bayless for so long talked down on athletes to big up the people that he followed. That was the reason for the explosion. He basically disrespected Shannon Sharpe's Hall of Fame career, which he's going to go down. He's the tight end that changed how the tight end position is played. It was him. It was Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Famer. And if you discredit him, then everybody else, you can discredit all of them. That destroyed their show. And Skip kept sticking to the same points and trying to talk to people the same way. And you see, Skip is on YouTube. He's not on a major network anymore. So if Stephen A. didn't sign that contract, if that contract still was in negotiations, it would be totally different based on how things are going with LeBron in that situation. But this is just athletes pushing back. So now let's get to it. So this is Stephen A. calling LeBron a liar. And we're going to reference what Stephen A. actually said The thing that set off everything, we're going to reference that after this.
That's talking about.
So if you notice, everybody sees what's happening. Everybody sees what set LeBron off, and Stephen A is the one who he's playing with his words, with if he knows or recognizes what set
He
LeBron
continues
off.
to lie to the world about what I said.
So that's one time called him a liar.
To regurgitate an obvious point, when I talked about Bronny James early in the season, and I highlighted the fact that at that particular moment in time he simply was not ready, I was calling out LeBron James. LeBron James never addresses that with anybody. For some reason, no one ever asked him about that. Wasn't it you who said?
So Stephen A, I think this is you playing naive. You think that if you call out LeBron based on you thinking Bronny's not ready, you think that's gonna have no impact on Bronny James? Come on, man. You know better. You gotta know better than that. You gotta know better, man. Like everybody's covering Bronny James in such a negative light now that he's doing better and he's getting the rhythm, getting his confidence up. You don't hear people talking about him the same way. So he said it. Stop effing with my son. That's my son. Stop effing with my son. You going to all of that I'm pleading with you as a father to stop this, clearly had an impact on Bronny James. That's very simple to understand. We don't have to jump through all these hoops to get there. You can get there very easily. You set off LeBron by calling him out as a father and plead with him as a father. It also had a compound impact on Bronny. That's very simple. So you just playing with words here.
Said that Bronny James was better than some players in the NBA right now before he was even drafted? Wasn't it you who said, if you want me, draft my son?
All right, so he always goes back. Everybody always goes back to that, where he's saying he's better than some of the players. Okay, so go back to the draft combine. How did he end up in the top 5 of the most athletic players from the draft combine? How did he do that? Doesn't that mean he had to be better than some of them athletically? All right, that's one point. Now, looking at where he is right now, I think Gilbert Arenas is the one that pulled up the stat that he has more points than 29 other players in the last 2 drafts, not the last 1 draft, the last 2 draft classes. He has more points than 29 other players. And remember, even if 10 of the players were players drafted after him, at still 19 players, he scored more NBA points than. So just look at it. Sometimes you got to see what's right in front of you. That tells us if he scored more points than those players in a game where the point is to score the most points, you can easily say to this point, he is better than them. That's very simple. So everybody keeps going to, he's saying, oh, he's better than some of these guys. That's 2 examples of how he's better than some of these guys, which y'all think is such a big deal that he said. Athletically, he's better. He scored more points than. Better than. There you go. It's very simple. You playing with words here. Playing with words.
Because you wanted to play with your son for 1 year. Wasn't it you who literally circumvented meritocracy within the National Basketball Association and got the entire media world in the NBA and, of course, the Lakers organization to buy in on that? LeBron James did all of that. That is the person I was talking about as a father, not the father in Brentwood or Bel Air or wherever else he has homes. I'm talking.
It's 2 different LeBron James. Well, LeBron James, when the basketball goes up in the air, they do a jump ball and the game starts. LeBron James is a father. On the court, he's a father. Your father title doesn't go away because you're playing the game of basketball. That's like saying when you go to work, you got kids, Stephen A. When you go to work, you're not a father anymore. You're just Stephen A. at work. You still are a father. This is why I say he's playing with words, because he's saying, I'm calling you out as a father, the NBA father, but not the father that goes home. Like, that don't even make sense. That's not a good argument. That's a weak argument, because you're saying you're separating, you're splitting the human. What are we doing? I will tell y'all this. This is my live response to this. I intentionally didn't watch this entire clip because I wanted to respond to it live and just to, give you that natural feeling of it. But this is a weak argument.
Talking about the father that shows up at crypto.com arena. Last time I checked, Bronny James is a professional basketball player. LeBron James went on national television yesterday and lied. He said that I have no problem with you talking about the game. What did I say about Bronny James other than at the time he wasn't ready? That was it. I said nothing else. So if that's the issue, and I pointed to LeBron James and the fact that you've circumvented a meritocracy just to get your wit.
Stephen A. Everybody saw the issue, man. Everybody saw the issue. When Bronny did better in the game, you said I might have been wrong that he wouldn't be ready this year. This is very simple. This is why I saw this from the beginning. What I saw Stephen A. not willing to give an inch of him being wrong. And when a person digs into that point, when it's clearly obvious that they're wrong, they're going to ride that right into a crash out. And you'll see he rode it right into a crash out because now he's saying, remember, he's saying, oh, this is only about, the father LeBron James basketball player side of LeBron, not the regular father part of LeBron. And come on, man.
Wish at the expense of the credibility of the league in a lot of people's eyes. That's talking about you. That's not talking about your son. And then he goes.
So again, like I said earlier, you believe that you talking about LeBron with the subject matter being Bronny won't have any effect on Bronny? What are we doing?
About the business of taking it a step further. First of all, let's understand something to the viewing public in America and beyond. This was planned. Rich Paul was on Pat McAfee's show about 10 days earlier, whatever. Rich Paul, for everybody that knows, is the man, the founder of Clutch Sports. He's a strategic thinker. He didn't go there by accident. You're there talking with Pat McAfee, and the next thing you know, within 2 weeks, after obviously a negotiation took place, LeBron James was on it. We know a negotiation took place because we understand that since LeBron had uninterrupted, or whatever the hell it was called, he's been about control. He's been about making sure that things are his way. Us, as the media members, know it because of how his behavior has changed since he's had his own media outlet in terms of.
What does this have to do with the point? It's too many times where we've been breaking down this situation with Stephen A. and he's blowing air. This is none of those times he's blowing air. In the first quarter, we went over. I didn't even play it for y'all. It was 10 minutes. He was blowing air. This is another time, blowing air. Blowing air.
He treats the media, but we won't focus on that too much this particular moment. In the aftermath of that interview, what does he do? He puts out some page about me, boxing, and all of this other stuff from a decade ago with 2 torn rotator cuffs. Fine, no problem. It's very, very embarrassing video.
He put that out about you because the third time, I guess, since the interview where you spoke on this subject, you said if he would have hit you, you would have swung back. And then you followed that up with he would have beat me up. And it was like, did he ever physically threaten you? You're just making this stuff up. You're making this stuff up. That's why I say you playing with words. You're playing with words. And you took this to a physical altercation. When we saw when he was towering over you and he walked away, it was none of this energy was there. None of this energy was there. This is a coulda, woulda, shoulda stuff that you're talking about. And coulda, woulda, shoulda don't matter because we only go based on what happened. Coulda, woulda, shoulda is somebody taking you outside of the argument of what really happened. We only go based on what really happened. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, we leaving that alone.
Video, I'll be the first to say and all that stuff, even though I like it to be left up there. Because if people think I want to throw hands like that, that's how I throw hands, knock yourself out. I'm good with it. I know that the man I am today is not the man that I was a decade ago, physically or beyond. I can tell you that. So we get that out the way. Why do I bring that up? Because that's how petty you've become. You're LeBron James.
Stephen A., the more I watch this, the more I realize you say that's how petty he is. You talked about this man in the last month. He's been a topic of you on whatever show you've been on so many times that you call him petty. This is 16 minutes, y'all. It's going to be hard to get
you
through.
That butt hurt over the things that I'm saying, that you would post that video? When has LeBron James ever done something like that? But suddenly you're doing that as it pertains to me. This man is in his feelings. I wonder why. Could it be because I don't believe you're the GOAT? Because I'll never believe you're the GOAT? Because I have you.
Now it's the GOAT argument. So I'm going to take this off of Stephen A. LeBron real quick and just tell y'all about something. So think about things. Think about this book, The Art of War. The Art of War, it talks about like, how you would kind of take down an enemy or an opponent. And basically what you do is you got to be prepared to destroy and crush. And clearly we see who is crushed. And we haven't even got to the point where Stephen A., as much as you call LeBron a liar, we ain't even got to the point where he started lying. So Stephen A., you picked this fight and you picked it with the wrong person. And you couldn't destroy LeBron. So maybe if it was a lesser known player, maybe if it was a player without the influence, maybe if it was a player without the control, maybe if it was a player without the experience, this would have worked out. But this is not working out because of who you decided to go up against. That's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is you decided to go up against the biggest person. And you got to remember, you are the person that talks about the person who actually does the thing. So the person who does the thing that everybody talks about, the person that talks about them will never be bigger than them. So you picked the battle that you couldn't win. And now, even you just said you laid out steps about how you saw this thing play out. But what's the problem? You recognize how it plays out after it played out. You didn't even see this coming. So since you didn't see this coming, you get a snuck attack, and you can't win. You can't win. And that's part of the reason why you got to resort to what you're going to resort to later on of all the clips that's going around of what you said, because you couldn't win. And for First Take to be a debate show, this would be poor form in a debate, because you would attack the person's argument first with counter arguments, and you would back it up with facts, data, and statistics. And you are not giving us facts, data, statistics, and you are not even going at his argument. So that would just be a failing debate. Well, let's keep making our way through.
You number 2 at all times. Do I have to have ESPN and First Take put up the ticker tape right now and say, yo, could you put that up there?
So now you saying it's the GOAT thing. I just don't understand how you keep dancing around what the actual issue is. I don't get it. I know people thought that this was amusing that he put, everything up at the bottom, like that has anything to do with it. How you call him a great father, and this whole thing is based on you questioning him as a father. Yo, where's that? Come on, what are we doing? I'm gonna skip forward, Joe. I can't. If I try to make it through this whole thing, I wouldn't make it.
At 15 years, he only came back for the final 2 years because he wanted to be an owner. And part of the stipulation with Abe Pollin, then the owner of the Washington franchise, was that he year 2025, decades after Michael Jordan has retired. Let me continue. Michael Jordan, NBA Finals MVP, 6th, the most all-team, 10 of 15 seasons.
We don't got to keep going through this GOAT debate. This is not about the GOAT debate. This is not, this entire time, what I recognize is Stephen A. Smith is not addressing the actual point of what this situation is. So let's get to where he started tripping.
He does have an assist title. Michael Jordan never did that. Michael Jordan led LeBron. He's lying when he says that I attacked his son. When he came up to me courtside at the Lakers-Knicks game, he was...
Stephen A., this is very simple. Attacking the father will have an impact on the son. How do you not get that? You claim to have kids. You claim to... This is very simple. This is very simple. Public attacks against the father will impact the kids. Well,
was lying then. He threw me off guard because he said, you can't be pooping on my son.
All right, so now he's saying he's thrown off guard. So what is it about? Is this about the GOAT debate, or is this about what he actually said to you? Which one is it? Is it because he's lying about this? What is this? What is this?
Bothered him before or after. I just stated a point in fact. We want to forget that. We want to forget that other people were pointing to his legitimacy or lack thereof as a McDonald's All-American. We want to point.
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. You said you didn't watch him. You didn't watch him in high school because you didn't want to cover him until he's to the NBA, and now you're going back to high school stuff. So I'm telling y'all, you're gonna hear this. This crosses the line into the personal. This is where he's trying to say is not personal, and he's going right. He's beeline into the personal.
Point to LeBron James, and we don't want to bring up the fact that he was the one that said on the record, my son is better than some NBA players right now. You want me, draft my son. We want to conveniently forget that. I'm not doing that. I cover this sport. This is what I do. And if LeBron James wants...
You don't really cover the sport, because I haven't heard you one time talk about the top 2 draft picks and what they actually done. I haven't heard you talk about anybody who's been in the G League. I haven't heard you. It's so much of this sport you don't cover. You cover hot topics. You cover certain stars. You don't cover this sport. It's players you never speak on. It's follow-ups you never do. When you bash a player and say they're not ready to be here, then I might have been, maybe they might have been wrong and all that stuff. And you can't call that covering the sport, because it's how much you on this thing so many days. You got so many shows. You keep saying you covering the sport, but how is all of this going past you where you never covering it? It's not happening.
Continue to cover the sport, or he wants to have a problem with me continuously cover the sport. But
nobody cares if you cover the sport or not.
LeBron James at the end of the day wants to come at me, and he's walking around pouting. Why would he be pouting? The man is 22. He is universally recognized as the Mount Rushmore of basketball.
He's pouting. I watched the whole interview, and we watching you. Between the two, I would say you the one that's pouting, not him.
Unquestionably one of the greatest players to have ever played basketball. I have him top 2. Stab me in the chest. Crucify me. Throw me in jail.
You keep bringing up this like it matters. This don't matter. This is he's blowing air. A lot of this is blowing air.
The thousands upon thousands of players who have played in NBA history. I have this man number 2 overall in the history of basketball, despite Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being a 19-time All-Star, a 6-time champion, a 6-time league MVP. It was the greatest, the most trusted move, offensive move in NBA history with the skyhook. I still had him ahead of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's not enough. So much so that you go this route. It's very unfortunate that he has done this. It's very unfortunate that he has tried to ostracize me amongst the NBA community and the sports world and beyond, talking about how I talk about, I'm pooping on the players and all of this other stuff. They don't.
You do. You have even said that players are stopped. They're not talking to you no more since this stuff has been happening with how you've, covered Bronny. So you even said that. So you blaming him for that when you said that players have told you that that's why they're not messing with you no more. So what are we doing? What are we doing?
Don't bring up all the time we praise the players. I applaud them when they win. I criticize them when they're messing up in an effort to make sure that you don't do it again. I'm not wishing anybody to fail, but I have to call it how I see it because I have an audience to answer to.
You don't call them when they win because you said if in your original clip, you said if Bronny would go to the G League and if he would average 20 to 25, then that would show that he has confidence and he was ready. All the time he was averaging 20 to 25, you never said a word. You never said a word about it after you critiqued him. So where's the follow-up? You know what the follow-up was? I might have been wrong. That's what the follow-up was. I might have been wrong.
These players, I don't get paid to talk to you. I get paid to talk about you, but I am happy to talk to you anytime you want to. I offered LeBron James that opportunity in his camp years ago. They passed. I said, I'll come wherever you want me to come. You don't have to come on my platform. I'll come on yours. He passed. I said, I don't want any editing. I want the audience. I want America. I want the world to hear it live, authentic, and in living color. I can say that to him right now. Ain't nobody hiding. But the bottom line is, I don't anticipate he's going to take me up on that offer just for the same reason.
Oh. So all these years you've been trying to talk to LeBron and he passed? And he didn't want to talk to you? That's interesting. Nobody even asked you about that. Why did you say that?
Reason he came up to me courtside instead of meeting me in the back in the locker room so we could talk.
They reached out to you. You said they reached out to you. Mocked them for reaching out to you.
Talk man to man. He doesn't want a rebuttal. He doesn't want any pushback. He just wants.
He reached out to you. His people reached out to you. You mocked them.
To say what he said like he did on courtside and then depart, but looks right up to the camera that's behind us that I never saw, who was filming it all along. The man orchestrated.
So you think he set that up?
Straight stuff. The man will smile in your face and he's got something behind his back, ready to stab you in it. It's who he has been. It's who I have known him to be. It's why he doesn't like me because he knows I know it. And it's why I certainly don't like him. But it's not going to stop me from being
I thought you didn't have no problems with LeBron. So now you don't like him. All you got to do, man, so everybody, all you got to do is just watch these people and let them talk because eventually they say what it really is. So he's been trying to have a sit down, face-to-face interview style thing with LeBron for years. LeBron turned him down. He also claims that LeBron orchestrated him walking up to him in between the third and fourth quarter, which I don't know how, because how would he even know you was coming to the game because you were a guest of somebody else. So that don't even make sense, Stephen A. Come on, you got to listen to what you're saying here. And then also, you're saying now that you don't like him. And you never, you basically, you kind of alluded to you ain't liked him for a while now. I thought you had no problems with him. This don't sound like a person you don't have no problems with.
Professional at all times. America, the world.
You have not been professional at all times.
Work for ESPN. I will not dishonor this network. I will not dishonor this profession by being unprofessional when it.
It's funny. I don't know when it's going to get to the actual bombshell of this soliloquy he's going on, but he's going to disgrace them really soon.
comes to somebody I don't like. Just because I don't like you as a person doesn't mean I cannot appreciate your unquestionable, undeniable, unparalleled greatness. I know who LeBron James is and what he has meant to basketball, but I also know how he's alienated a lot of folks along the way. I'm not the only one. I'm just one of the few that is in a position to speak up about it. The brother ain't scaring me. Ain't nobody shivering this way. I don't care what he feels or what he has to say. I stand by the things that I said. I have never, ever going after somebody's family, and I would never do that. And he is creating this narrative because he can't accept the fact that I won't kiss the ring and acknowledge him as the greatest ever. Why? Because
He's still on this greatest ever thing. It's not what it's about. Because you act like your validation, he needs your validation. He never asked for your validation. So you can say he's the worst player ever, and I don't think he would care.
he is not. He had to learn to win. His heart got snatched right out of his chest in the NBA Final Series against the Dallas Mavericks in 2011 when he went fourth quarters. He averaged 2.2 points per quarter. 2 of those games, he didn't even score a point. 1 of those games, he didn't even attempt a field goal in the fourth quarter. That's a go? Maybe it is to somebody else. It's not to me. I stand by what I said. I appreciate him. I hope the Lakers win. I'd rather be in LA than someplace else come June. I'm not rooting against him, and I'm not rooting against him. But it is what it is. We stand where we stand. You do what you do. I do what I do. But when you come into this lane, my brother, it's the equivalent of me stepping on a basketball court, going up against you, asking you not to shoot a jump shot or whatever. This is my lane, bro. And anytime you want to get down, we can get down. I have no problem debating him. I have no problem showing up in front of an audience. I'll show up on his damn show. It doesn't matter. I have a right to believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest ever and LeBron James is number 2. I have the right to feel that way without him feeling like I called him everything but a child of God and then accusing me and my reputation and my character of going after somebody else's family. I don't do that. I never would. I would have dishonored this network. I would have dishonored Disney. I would have dishonored the NBA that I've covered for over a quarter of a century. And I would have dishonored myself. He ain't worth it. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to call it like the hell I see it. And that's the way it has been. That is the way it is. And that is the way it is going to stay. Because bottom line, last point is this. The day he came up to me was the day my new contract was announced. So he knows, like everybody else, it's going to be a little while before I go away. I was here before he got here in 2003. And in all likelihood, I'm going to be here when he's gone. You got to deal with that, bro. Plain and simple. It ain't a crime for Michael Jordan to be a GOAT. But clearly, it's a crime with him. And he goes through all of these histrionics and all of this other stuff with Pat McAfee. Be my damn guest. Love Pat McAfee show. Great job. Any other show on ESPN, y'all continue to do.
A lot of blowing air there. He changed the total point of what it was. One easy way to determine if a person is losing a debate is if they are able to stick to the topic. As soon as he got off topic and went to all these different places, you knew the debate was lost. It's very simple, very easy to see. I'm not going to get that 16 minutes back. Let's go to what he originally said.
To be as respectful as I possibly can be towards LeBron James. One of the top 2 or 3 players in the history of basketball, number 2 in my eyes. A treasure to the game of basketball that we should and will all miss when he is gone. I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. The first game of the season.
And that's why I started. And that's why we're here. And you see the different levels of crash out and you see it getting worse. So you saw him talking about what he was saying. But now, let's get to what else he said. So we got to go back over to X. And I got some clips here, which is funny because as much as Stephen A. called LeBron a liar, this is the picture that I keep going back to kind of in between as, you know, I'm going through things and updating things. This actually says, so I'm going to read this to y'all. Stephen A. goes off on LeBron James and exposes him for not attending Kobe's memorial. Right below that, he was fact-checked on X. This is incorrect. LeBron was in attendance according to the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, Entertainment Tonight. They all list James among the attendees at the memorial. LeBron James requested not to be filmed at the memorial. So this is when I was telling y'all like the crash out is happening. So now let's show you a full crash out by Stephen A. Let's show it here. This is a full crash out.
That he'd be happy with the things that I haven't brought up. I never brought up really and never really discussed why you were not at Kobe Bryant's memorial service.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
I never really brought up or discussed why you did not attend Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction when that man was directly responsible for you capturing a championship for the first time in your career.
It was reported that Bronny was at the Mayo Clinic getting surgery on his heart after he suffered cardiac arrest. Was the reason why he was not at Dwayne Wade's retirement ceremony. This is a crash out, folks. This is a full-on crash out.
I brought up none of that. I didn't bring up the fact that even though when people had asked, you had alluded to what had happened tragically to your son, and thank God he's okay with his heart condition. I didn't bring up the fact that even though you couldn't go to the Hall of Fame induction of Dwayne Wade weeks earlier, you were out.
Did he just answer his own point of what he said? And now he's going to say that weeks earlier? I don't think he has his timeline right. And this is where you know it's a crash out and it's just full of emotion. Because as it was reported, Dwayne Wade's retirement was 2 weeks after the cardiac arrest. So if he was on vacation prior to the cardiac arrest, that wouldn't be a conflict of the cardiac arrest. So this is where a person who claims to be calculated, this is where a person who claims to do his research, who claims to be on point, when they start making these obvious mistakes, this is full emotion, this is full crash out.
Out of the country on business. I didn't bring that up. That's your personal business. Okay? But the fact is you wasn't at the Hall of Fame induction of a brother that's going to drastically assist to you being a Hall of Famer because he helped you become the champion that you are, and he was a big brother to you. I brought up none of these things.
So when you want to know the definition of a crash out is when a person is bringing something up and they're so emotional that they even answer the reason why Stephen A. answered why he wasn't at the retirement ceremony. It doesn't even make sense. So that's just a full crash out. So now let's go to some other parts of the situation. So this is where you see
Kendrick Perkins has been on the record saying he considers LeBron James the GOAT.
Yeah.
Kendrick Perkins says a negative word about LeBron James, and LeBron James blocks Kendrick Perkins.
Unfollow me.
Unfollowed you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Unfollowed
hey, Stephen A.
you. Okay.
Hey, Stephen A. But let me say this to you. He unfollowed me, and then I blocked him on my cell phone.
So y'all see this pettiness is going on? You see how emotional Stephen A. is? When have you seen Stephen A. make this many mishaps and when he's speaking? He's a very articulate person. That's one thing you got to give Stephen A. So he's making these mishaps. That's the emotion sitting there. And if a person unfollows you on social media, you think it kind of matters or they care about, them reaching out to you on the phone? So this shows you just a level of pettiness that's going into this, and they're playing into it. And then again, you see Wendy just chilling. He like, man, I don't want no parts of what y'all doing. And now you have this right here. So this is the coulda, woulda, shoulda argument.
One thing I will say,
I'm not gonna play all of this. This the coulda, woulda, shoulda argument, and this is anytime somebody is coulda, woulda, shoulda. You coulda, woulda, shoulda did this with your money. Coulda, woulda, shoulda did this with your resources. Coulda, woulda, shoulda did this. Those people, I just kind of block them out because the coulda, woulda, shoulda argument is not real. We go based off what's real and what really happened. That's why we say, things are black and white. The coulda, woulda, shouldas, they don't mean that much, but just listen to how outrageous they are.
sharing the locker room with LeBron James, being LeBron James' teammate, being in McDonald's All-American, all that. He is one of the brightest basketball minds I've ever been around. Okay.
Perk talk too slow. Basically, Kendrick Perkins going to say why he can't make Richard Jefferson, Channing Frye. He's going to name a bunch of black guys and say why has Mind the Game only been with JJ, who's not black, and then now it's with Steve Nash, who's also not black. You can put together what you think from that. It's a coulda, woulda, shoulda argument, so I'm not even going to really get too deep into it because the coulda, woulda, shoulda arguments don't matter to me. But I'm just showing you how they are going at LeBron. And this is a really good thing here.
I said it before. I will say it again.
I'm gonna speed this up. I like Nick Wright, man, but his cadence be slow. All right, let's speed this up. Let's go.
It is a lost art in current culture. Just take an L, man. Just take an L. All you had to do the day after LeBron walked up on you against the Knicks was do kind of what you did on TV, which was be like, I don't really want to talk about this. That was a father talking about his son. And again, that was a little misleading. It wasn't so much about Stephen A's commentary on Bronny as much as it was about Stephen A's commentary about LeBron as a father. And listen, all you had to say was, I think I've been more than fair. LeBron obviously disagrees. I would have told him that if he had given me the opportunity. He seems to be, and it was communicated to me, he was really bothered by what he thought was me questioning him as a father. That was never my intention. I would never do that. And it's dead. And it's over. Instead, you do half a dozen podcasts about it. You start fantasizing about what if he had put his hands on me.
That was a great breakdown. He could have easily just acknowledged the fact that, my bad. It's my bad will take you a long way. Let's see. Just making sure I had so many things. My bad will take you a long way in life. So I know that, a lot of times while I'm on here, I kind of go on these rants about different things. Stephen A. Smith, all he had to do was say my bad. He could have easily said my bad. And if he would have said my bad, none of this would have happened. This was just a poor choice. This was a poor person to attack. You were attacking a person that just hypothetically you couldn't defeat. And everybody saw that. Everybody saw it was not much you can do to deal with the situation with LeBron. And for some reason, you saw otherwise. And you forgot that you are the person that covers the person. The important person is the person that does the thing. So, just a longer way to say that is you cover the person that does the thing that everybody cares about. You're not the person that does the thing that everybody cares about. People look up to LeBron. People want to be LeBron. It's probably a third of, I'm not going to say a third, that's too much. A lot less of people want to be LeBron than want to be Stephen A. I say that. I'll just say a lot less. So you got to remember that. So you got to pick and choose. When I was young, my dad said you got to pick and choose your battles. And, when you hear that as a kid, you're like, what that really mean? Like, what do you mean pick and choose your battles? And this is a perfect example of picking and choosing your battles. So if you are ever in a situation where if you pick to, keep going at something and the only thing you can do is take an L, those are easy ones that you just say, all right, I'm gonna leave this alone. And like Nick just said, like a lot of people saw, Stephen A could have easily just picked a different battle. This wasn't the battle. This wasn't a battle you can win. And I think it was short-sighted. I think it was, he kept talking about it because of the views and because it involved LeBron. And I think he never thought LeBron would kill a gnat with a sledgehammer. And LeBron going on Pat McAfee and speaking freely and putting it out there and not dancing around subjects, he took that sledgehammer to that gnat. And people, Stephen A, I'm guessing, miscalculated if LeBron would do that. But you realize LeBron said the reason why he did it was to protect his house and to protect the players. I said this earlier in the show. LeBron, if he's not going to take somebody going personal on him and he's going at the biggest person in sports media, the guys below that don't stand a chance to take personal shots at guys. And you will see more athletes immediately respond to people, especially in the media, who take personal shots at them. And what they're doing is they're reshifting the balance of how this thing is covered. Because if you look at baseball, they don't get deep into name calling the players. You look at football, they're not deep into name calling the players. and disrespecting them. And in football, they rarely go in on somebody's personal life unless it's reported to the police. The NFL, if it's not reported to the police, you don't really hear about it. And I think the NBA can learn from that. And as you see, people who just try to say that, oh, the player's been saying this about the media a long time. Well, that shows you is something wrong. Because if I can go back to Michael Jordan, who hasn't played in a game in 24, 25 years. If we can go back to Michael Jordan, ain't played in a game in 25 years. We can go back to Jalen Rose, ain't played in a game easily, maybe 15 years. And then now we can go to players who play now, and they all got the same beef with the media taking it too far in the NBA, and we can't go to other sports and find this amount of examples of the same thing happening. There is your problem. It's a problem that can be solved, but ego and pride will win out to solve this problem. Everybody should look at how Wendy handled his part of this situation and move forward like that. I think that's the best way.